Hey, what's up YouTube? My name is Kyle. I'm making my first video today. So I have been working with recycled wood, mostly reclaimed pallets, to turn them into artwork. So you see what I've done there so far. Had a few other works that I've done as well. But I'm going to do a quick video on how you can break down pallets and how you can easily turn them into works of art. So we're going to do a quick little show here on how to be able to do that. So the first thing I do is, I get my recycled pallets. You can find them at dumpsters. You can find them at retail stores. Most stores that you go to have pallets that you can just get for free. And you just load that up. One thing you can do is you can either get a crowbar and you can go to each of these hinges right there, or you can do what I like to do and use one of these reciprocating saws with a steel cutting blade. And that works through them really, really easily. So let me show you how that works. Anyway, so if you've got your pallet and your steel cutting blade, you can line up your angles right there. And boom, cuts right through it. Super simple to break them down. Once you got over the experience, you can probably break one down in probably about 5 minutes. It's not that difficult to be able to break one of those down. All right. So as far as my process goes for doing this, once you break it down, you get all your planks right there. You want to make sure that you keep good ones. You're going to have some that are bad, some that are good. Some that have some cracks in them, but even some that have cracks, you can still use them. All right. What I usually do is, you see right there on the end, they've got the nails in there still. And so all I got to do is get on my table saw there and just take the last little inch off. Of course, always make sure you're wearing your gloves, protective gear. You just toss those little end pieces there. Okay. And then you guys got a nice little piece. So if you're into quilting at all, if you know anything about quilting or anything like that, you know that most of those patterns are based off half square triangles. Okay? So the biggest part of trying to make this kind of artwork out of recycled wood is being able to understand those angles. Okay, so I take this measurement over here. You see I've got 3 1/4 inches on this piece of wood right here, right? And it's a pretty straight piece of wood. It's not decent, but I want to make sure I try and get the ends off, and I want to be able to make sure it's usable for whatever I want to use it for. So I can either cut it down into a 1.5 inch strip, I can cut it into a 2 inch strip and a 1 inch strip, or I can cut it either into 3 1 inch strips. It's however I choose to, however I break stuff down. I mean, you can break down one whole pallet and get enough triangles of each one of those 3 sizes to be able to do plenty of projects, okay? But all you got to do is go over to your table saw, get a good angle on that. So I don't know if you see it real well, but all I'm going to do is I'm going to set, so this is a 3 1/4 piece, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this into a 2 inch strip and a 1 inch strip. So I'm going to set my table saw to 2 inches. I'm going to find the finer edge of the 2 pieces because I want that to be as square as possible. Right, so any waste that I have, I want to make sure that that waste is the piece of the wood that is going to have the most imperfections on it, all right? So I got 2 inches. Now I got a nice 2 inch strip there. Okay, pretty even on both sides. You can see how straight it is. Okay, it's got a good solid cut. You want to make sure you have good blades, things like that. And then I've got some left over here. Okay, so let's take the measurements on that, see what we got left, all right? So we have just over 1 1/4 inches. So I can go ahead and use the rest of this, make it a 1 inch strip. So I'm going to reset my table saw measurements back to 1 inch, boom. And I'm going to go ahead and rip a 1 inch strip. And I got a 1 inch strip there as well, all right? Now, from there, once you got your strips there, you can go back over to your miter saw over here, and it's very, very simple to be able to make these triangles that you need. All you got to do is set your miter saw to a 45-degree angle, and you just line that up with the corner. Make sure that's nice and square. Boom, you want a square triangle, okay? And then you just set it back to 0. Cut it right on the end of that angle that you just cut. And boom, you get another triangle. And you just repeat that process until you've gone through that whole length of wood and you've cut it down, all right? And usually, just for accuracy, if you really want to make sure that these things are working properly and that you've got really solid measurements on all of your pieces, you know, you go ahead and take just a ruler, a measurement tape, or anything like that. And I usually like to go ahead and take my measurement tape and make sure that it is perfectly exactly 1 inch. You know, it's not going to be perfect 100% of the time. So those, 25% of pieces that might not be 100%, we go ahead and toss those. But, 90% of that wood you should be able to keep. Me personally, I've got this sorting bin right here where I could sort out all of my pieces. And so I've got 1 inch, 1.5 inch, 2 inch. Okay, and these are extra pieces that are either cut into 2-inch diamonds, or you have oblong pieces right here for various purposes. Up here you've got squares, 1-inch squares, 1.5 inch squares, 2-inch squares, things like that. But once you have a design that you like, you can either find them online, you can just look up barn quilting, things like that. And for example, one that I actually just recently finished, found a design, colored it in, and that's the one right there. And all I did was I measured out what I wanted it to look like as far as measurements and size and things like that. So these are all 1-inch squares right here. So all I did was get those 1-inch square triangles, lined them all up where I wanted to be, sanded them down, took some stain and stained all of those, framed them. Okay, and you take that same pieces of wood that you have from that, you have the middle pieces, supports, things like that, that you can break down into 1-inch square rods, cubed rods, and then you can use those for frames. And then all you got to do is do some sanding and a little bit of staining and create your pattern, and eventually you come up with something like that. But anyways, so this is my very first video that I've ever made on YouTube. So I'm going to put this on there, and hopefully there'll be more to come. If you like it, please subscribe. Like I said, my name's Kyle, and hopefully we'll get some more videos up here, and we'll see you later.